How's it going, everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you how I do a quick and dirty investment analysis. My name is Mike the CPA, and welcome to Money in Life TV. This is the channel people come to learn about finances, investing, taxes, and more. I've actually gotten a lot of requests recently to do a basic investment analysis video, so that's what I hope to cover with y'all today. So I'm going to show you on screen here, guys. I'm going to show you an example using American Waterworks, which is a stock I own. It represents about 7.5% of my total portfolio. I have about 10 different things I'm going to be sharing with you guys in terms of doing a quick analysis when I'm looking at individual stocks, and that's what this video is geared towards. You guys might have other inputs. Please feel free to share them in the comments below, because I think that's how this community really grows and really benefits from learning from each other. Hopefully you guys learn a lot from me as I learn a lot from you as well. So feel free to share what you like to look at when analyzing investments below. So in no particular order, guys, we're just going to keep this pretty casual and we're just going to go through this. Some of the things I look at, some of the things you might consider looking at while you're doing your research and analysis. A lot of people ask me, Mike, do you use a special software? Do you use, a special platform to analyze your investments? And honestly, guys, I don't. I've never needed to do that. I'm sure if I was day trading or something like that, then I would want to do that. But, I can glean a lot of information from Yahoo Finance completely free. The stock I want to look at, or the company I want to look at, is American Waterworks. Now, the first thing I will tell you before I analyze any investment, and I think what you should consider before you take the time to analyze an investment, is think about how does that investment help you accomplish your long-term goals. So that's the first thing I think about before I dive deep into any particular company. For example, am I looking at investing in this company for income? Am I looking to invest in this company for growth? Or is it a little bit of both, some capital appreciation, some income? So just know before you decide to invest the time of analyzing a particular stock, I like to think about how is it going to help me reach my long-term investment goals. So obviously it's good to know what they are for yourself before you start, taking a bunch of time to research stocks. Know how this investment will help you. So for me, when I'm looking at American Waterworks, how does that fit my goals for my portfolio? Well, one, I know American Waterworks provides a dividend, so I know I'm going to get some income. And two, I know that it's a utility company, and the companies are usually defensive in nature, so they're more protected against a market downturn, which they're not. Nothing's perfect, but they're not as volatile as some of the other industries like technology, or pharmaceuticals or things like that. So there's a defensive aspect to it in terms of hedging my risk, and based on the research that I've done with American Waterworks, I know that it's a strong likelihood that I'm going to be able to get some good capital appreciation out of this investment. So those are three reasons I want to look at American Waterworks. And fourth, it's water. It's water. When is water no longer going to be applicable? I don't think in my lifetime. People need water. And the population, it keeps increasing, right? So I think there's going to be a greater and greater demand for water. So these are some of the things I'm thinking about when I'm looking at a company like this. Regardless of what company it is, that's the kind of the thought process I'm going through. So number one is, how does the investment you want to look at, how is that going to help you reach your long-term investment goals? The second thing I want to look at, which I've already mentioned, is does it pay a dividend? Will this provide income to me? And if so, what is the dividend yield? Now typically, I like to look at investments that yield anywhere from a 2 to 3% dividend yield. This one is lower than that, but when I bought in, this was much closer to 3%. So I've bought into this, I think back in 2014 is when I initially purchased an investment. But clearly I do look at the dividend yield, and that's important for me because my goal as an investor, for me, doesn't have to be this way for you, but I really like something that provides me cash flow, or is going to provide me an annual income. And if I am investing for cash flow or for income, I generally will not look at investments with a yield of 2% or less. It's just, to me, it's a little bit too low, unless the reason I'm looking at that investment is purely for growth. On Yahoo Finance, I searched AWK, which is the ticker symbol for American Waterworks. This is actually the summary page for for this investment. Okay, so that's the page on is the summary page. And also, one thing I like to take a quick glance at is how far off is this investment from their 52-week high. That lets me know if this stock is really doing well, or if it's quite a ways down from its 52-week high, and if it might be selling at a discount, or what tells me where this stock's at currently. Is it a hot stock right now? Is it hitting new highs? Is it right near its high, which this one is? The high of this stock is 114.02, and it's just a few cents off of that. So this stock has been breaking new highs in 2019. But sometimes you look at a company and you'll see that their stock is significantly down from their 52-week high. Good example right now would be Triple M or 3M, because 3M has fallen quite a bit. Just by looking at the 52-week range, right away you're going to get a sense or a feeling whether this stock is breaking new highs or heading further down before you ever even look at the charts, the financials, or anything like that. Now, speaking of charts and graphs, the fourth thing I look at is I'm definitely looking at taking a technical analysis approach when I'm analyzing investments. Now, like I said, guys, each segment that I'm referring to, these different things I'm looking at, I could easily make these into 10 different videos and really go in depth, which I might do if you guys would like me to. So I come to Yahoo Finance because their program, I think the website, it's so easy to use, and it's very easy to see how this stock has done historically just by looking at the graphs. But I like to look at the charts over different time periods to see what the overall long-term trend of this investment is. Now, right now we're on the max graph, which is the maximum period of time that Yahoo has information or data for, and you can see overall this has a strong, healthy upward trend, and it's really been doing well and continues to do well, and I think it could potentially break new highs. So then I like to slowly step back and now look at it from a 5-year standpoint. What's the trend over 5 years? Very strong upward trend over 5 years. As you guys can tell, it's gone up 130, whoops, come on. It's gone up 137% over 5 years. So very healthy trend. Then I like to look over a 2-year period, what it's doing over the last 2 years, the 1 year, year to date, and so on and so forth. But by looking at this investment over different time periods, you can get a general sense of where this investment might be headed. The other thing I like to do when looking at charts is compare this investment against other competitors in this industry and sector. So what's one of its main competitors? Or what's a competitor of American Water Works? Well, another water utility company would be a perfect example, right? So another water utility company is Aqua America. So I can easily add a graph for Aqua America, and I can see how Aqua America performs against American Water Works over different time periods. As you can see, American Water Works has been the stronger investment, but you can also see, you'll start to notice patterns between similar investments in industry, within similar sectors and industries, is that they often have the same movement pattern. So that if you find an investment such as this one, and it's been appreciated in value, you'll often find its competitors are increasing in value as well. That's not always the case, but they usually move in a very similar pattern. You can often see the same thing, I think, if you were to graph Pepsi and Coke against each other. Very similar stocks, same industry, things like that. So using Yahoo Finance, it's very easy to look at the charts and kind of get a feel for the trend of this investment and where it's going. The next thing I like to look at when I'm doing a quick investment analysis is I want to look at this company's financials. So I'm not going to go in great detail on this, but some of the things I might look at is, how's their top line revenue doing? Is it continuing? Are they continuing to grow their top line revenue, their gross profits? This company is. It's a very healthy business at this point. I like to look at the net income. I like to see how their net income is growing overall. Pretty healthy trend. Their net income is growing pretty consistently. Sure, it went down a little bit here this year, but in 2018, at the end of last year, they're breaking all new record net income levels. So a lot of growth here, a lot of very healthy financials from what I can tell. Usually honestly, guys, what I've learned from different books, like there's a book called Buffettology, there's a book called How to Make Money in Stocks, there's several books by Peter Lynch, and a lot of them allude to that if you look at a company's financials and their net income is consistently growing, that's a darn good sign that you have a solid investment. And this net income is pretty consistent across the board. So I'll definitely be looking at the profit and loss. I'll analyze the balance sheet, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. But on the cash flow statement, I like to look at one thing. Now, the cash flow statement is going to show you what they're doing with their cash. So when this organization brings cash in, what are they doing with it? So one of the things I learned back when I was becoming an accountant, an accounting professor pointed out to me, and it served me quite well, is that she says one way you can analyze the health of a business is by what is their cash flow from their operating activities. And basically what that means in a general sense is that if you see they have good, strong growth in cash flow from operations, what that means is they're making money by doing the business. When the business operates, it makes money. Because in the way they run that operation, it's profitable. Sometimes you'll notice businesses are losing money in operations, and that is not a good sign. That is something I look out for. Another thing I like to look at when analyzing an investment is definitely the statistics page on Yahoo. So we can go here, and I can look at, what is their profit margin, what is their operating margin, things like that. And it's easy to get too hung up in the numbers here, but the only way to really know if that's good or bad, so like you'll see in this example, it shows the profit margin 16%. Well, that could be good, that could be bad. How do we know? Well, I would want to compare that against some of its competitors, and which we're going to talk about competitors in here in just a second. So to gauge the health of this company and how well it's doing, I'd want to compare it against the statistic of its competitors and see how well it holds up. Because sometimes what might look like a strong number here, or even a low number, it might tell a different story once you can compare it against its other operators within its industry. So that is something you want to keep in mind. And as a cash flow investor, one of the things I like to look at is definitely the dividend payout ratio. So the dividend payout ratio tells me how high of a dividend or what percentage of its earnings is it paying out to its shareholders through dividends. And I like this to be around 50% or lower, or at least below 60%, which it is. When a company so what that tells me as an investor is if they're only paying out about half their earnings in the form of dividends, that tells me that this company and that dividend is more sustainable versus if they're paying out 70 or 80% of their dividend to shareholders. Well, then that gets a little dicey because then what's happening is all the cash flow the company is making, or all the earnings are pretty much going out to its shareholders, and it might lead eventually down the line the business to be looking for cash or strapped for cash. So the lower the payout ratio here, the better for me, because I don't mind as much if the yield is lower, but what's really important for me is that they're growing their dividend and the dividend is sustainable for the long term, because long term, I'm looking for a long-term, sustainable passive income, if that makes sense. One easy way to tell if the company is growing its dividends is if you go to the historical data section of Yahoo, you'll see this page right here. If you click on historical prices, if you want to do show dividends only, so we do show dividends only, and then select the time period. So I like to do max. So this will give me all the dividend history from June 4th of 2019 when I'm filming this, for all the way back to April 23rd of 2018. So I hit done and I hit apply. And there we go. So this will show me the dividend history. The further down I scroll, the further back in time we go. So as you can see, since 2008, this company has basically doubled its dividend payout. And it looks like it will continue to increase their dividends over time. Obviously, as long as the business is sustainable, the economy is good, it's more likely than not the company will keep increasing its dividends, which means my income is going to keep going up as long as I hold this investment. So that's an easy way for me to see the long-term dividend growth of this company. Earlier, I was talking about competitors. So one of the easiest way, and I'm on the summary page of Yahoo for this investment. So how do you find which industry this company's in, and how do you quickly identify its competitors, or how might you go about finding some of its competitors? So if you want to, on the summary page on Yahoo, all you do is scroll down to company profile, and you'll see this American Water Works. It's in the utility sector, and the industry is utilities regulated water, though that is the industry it's in. So what's an easy way to find some of his competitors? Well, right away, what's nice, what Yahoo has built in, I don't know how long this has been around, but you can quickly see that if people are watching American Water Works, they're also looking at these other investments, American States Water Company, Aqua America. They're also looking at Nextra Energy, which is not a water utility, but it is a utility company. So right away, you can get a sense for that two very similar competitors is Aqua America and American States Water Works. So you might check out those investments as well before you decide which water utility company you want to invest in. The ninth thing I want to look at when I'm doing a quick analysis is I want to get a sense for what's going on currently with this company. Well, what's an easy way to do that? I've always found that Yahoo Finance is an easy way to find that information because a lot of the articles that are associated with water utility companies, some of them are on the industry, some of them are on the sector, and a lot of them are specifically for American Water Works. They're all going to be right here on the summary page. If you scroll down, you can read kind of what's going on, if there's any lawsuits occurring, if there's upcoming earnings dates, things like that. There's a lot of information you can extract and take away here on the health of the company. Now, I am careful not to get too swayed by the media or the press, because sometimes you'll find articles telling you should sell this investment. Other times you'll find articles with the opposite argument telling you should buy the investment. Really, I try to avoid articles like that. I'm just looking for factual information as much as possible. The opinion from a news source of whether to buy or sell this investment, I completely ignore, because they could have a bias themselves, or they might be their competitor might have hired a writer to write that article. You have no idea. And so I think it's good to always formulate your own opinion and do your own research before investing, so to not get swayed by the news. Most of I used to, when I first started investing, I would get caught up in these articles and this news, and usually if I followed the advice of an article, an article telling me whether I should buy or sell, I usually lost money. In fact, I usually did better off when I took the opposite position of what the news article was telling me to do. Believe it or not. That's what I found from doing this now for over 5 years, is I just come up with my own opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't follow the media too closely, because I think a lot of it's just noise, and it can scare you and lead you to making poor investment decisions or poor investment management decisions if you're not careful. The last thing when I'm doing a quick investment analysis is I like to look at the company's website itself. With these publicly traded companies, a lot of times you're going to find an investor relation section to their website. Johnson & Johnson has one, Coke has one, Pepsi has one. So basically any company that's publicly traded, generally, if you go to their company website, you're going to be able to find an investor relation portion to their website. And you can just come down here and so here it is, investor relations. Sometimes you'll find that link on the top of the page. Sometimes it's on the very bottom of the website. In this case, it's actually right here. So you can click on investor relations, and let's see where this takes us. Usually, it's going to take you to somewhere where you can learn about the company. You can read financial statements, different filings the company's recently made. And if you really want to learn the nuts and bolts of a company, more than anything else, I think reading the financial statements is going to do that for you more than anything else, because there's so much information you can learn from just reading the financials, more than you'll get from going usually to a Yahoo website or stockcharts.com or one of those websites. Come straight to the source. That's where you're going to learn a lot about the company. So guys, those are the quick 10 and dirty things I do when that sounds so bad. All right, guys, so those are the top 10 things I look at when I'm doing a quick analysis. This might take me anywhere from about 10 minutes to 30 minutes. Now, once I know the company, then it takes me a little much less time, maybe 15 minutes or less to do a quick analysis. But for most of us, if you're like me, I just want to be able to, I work full time and then some, especially, throwing YouTube videos on top of that. I don't want to spend a lot of time, nor do I have a lot of time to sit here and analyze stocks. I'm sure you have a life and you can relate to that as well. So I just want to, over the years, I've learned a couple things to look at and look at them quickly. And usually by doing this quick analysis, I can get a quick feel for what this company's doing, how they're doing health-wise, and the overall trend of the investment. You might have other things you recommend people look at, which I would please share those in the comment section below. I obviously do look at some other things. I'll be making more investment analysis videos in the future. There's so many other factors or other elements you could look at when you're doing your analysis, and it's totally up to you. But from what I've learned over the years, if I at least cover these 10 things, I usually do pretty well when investing. If you guys liked the video, let me know by dropping a like, especially if you want to see more videos like this. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. There's a lot more videos I'll be producing on investment analysis, taxes, finances, etc. So make sure you're subscribed by hitting that red subscribe button down below. And if you hit that bell notification icon, it will notify you every time I release a new video. I try to post a new video about once per week on this channel. All right, with that being said, leave your comments down below. Can't wait to read what you guys have to say, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great week, everybody. Love y'all. Peace.